right. Good morning and happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. I think it's going to be a new one. It's just going to be a good one. So there's a couple of things that I'm very optimistic about this year, and that's going to be the show this morning. Is we're going to talk about the new year outlook. Now, one thing for the show. Of course, last year was an off-cycle year, right? Which is to say, it was the year between elections, right? So, for the show, especially for YouTube shows of this kind, generally, and this goes for everybody. This goes for Daily Wire, Steven Crowder, Tim Pool, everybody that covers news, especially political news. The odd years are off cycle, so there's not as much happening in politics. And when we talk politics, we watch politics like it's a sport, right? We track the players, we watch their stats, we discuss expectations, who's going to do what, like somebody watching a football, paying close attention to the football season, etc. So 2026 midterms, not as big, admittedly, as something like 2024 or 2028 is going to be, because those, of course, have a general election for the president. And we talk a lot, there's in a general election year, in the fours, right? We see a much higher likelihood of significant turnover in the House and Senate because there are more people paying attention, right? Now, this year being a midterm year, there are not as many people paying attention, but the people who are paying attention are going to be paying close attention. So it's going to be incumbent on us, those who are paying attention, who are reading the news, taking a look at what our expectations are, and have an interest in the liberty and prosperity of the people of this country. You can't just sit around and let it happen, guys. You got to talk to people. If you're not already, get involved with your local GOP. Go to meetings. Take friends. Grow those numbers. And when you hear somebody, when you have the opportunity and somebody's talking about how dangerous Donald Trump is, and it's so important we elect a Democrat. Remind them that they're dirty communists and that their toxic viral envy is the reason things are bad. I'm going to be spending so much more on health insurance this year. Yeah, you are. And we told you that in 2008. And it's only continued to get worse. And why has it continued to get worse? Because you voted for the wrong thing. But overall, the economic outlook for this year is positive. It's not 2016, 2017 absolute banger positive. I'm not going to tell you that you should be looking for mortgage rates in the low twos, or massive unemployment relief. For one, unemployment is actually pretty low at present. And last year gave us some pretty positive numbers in the jobs market, because in the preceding 4 years, while Joe Biden was the president, the vast majority of new jobs either went to foreigners or were government jobs. There was almost no. Biden kept touting, massive job growth, highest job growth since blah 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 blah. And then, of course, every time we got a positive jobs report out of Joe Biden, it would get revised down, and I mean massively. They were the largest revision corrections of jobs numbers reports ever, right? And consistently enough that it was clear to see, here's what's happening. They're lying about job numbers when they come out for political reasons, and then they're getting caught in the lie within a month or three. we should be seeing some massive development this year in the tech space in AI. The current outlook, according to what the hell happened here? Oh, I see what happened. The current outlook, according to Fox Business, U.S. economy expected to grow faster in 2026 despite stagnant job market. And that stagnant job market, the okay, I got it. This may be the funniest typo ever. Bro, are you going to shoot Barbie? I'm pretty sure he meant Bambi, the other stripper, but yes. Here's hoping. Oh, but anyway, so Patrick points out Bernie Sanders will be publicly swearing in Mamdani today. How apropos. Yeah. Send a commie to love a commie. That's what it takes, right? But the U.S. economy expected to grow faster in 2026 despite stagnant job market, according to Goldman Sachs. And like I was saying a minute ago, as far as a stagnant job market, in 2025, the numbers suggest that nearly all new jobs, all net new jobs, right? And we have to say net new jobs because, of course, there's turnover in every sector. So, it's not like we didn't hire anybody in the government. It's not like nobody got a new government job, but we fired more people from the government than we hired. And so all net new jobs went to American-born citizens in private sector jobs. That is awesome. That's huge. Now, of course, there's a problem for young guys just entering the workforce for the first time who are going into private sector jobs, and this breaks my heart. Even though I also have a government pension, there's basically no retirement options when you work in the private sector. Or right, there are retirement plans, but it's something that you have to buy now, right? It's something that you have to invest in. It's not something. Very, very few companies in the private sector now offer any kind of retirement package as part of the benefits package until you start getting into C-suite stuff. So that's a problem that I hope we find a solution to in the not too distant future. And there are some positive markers in that direction. So the U.S. economy's resilience in 2025 is expected to carry over when the calendar turns 2026, with growth expected to accelerate as tax cuts and more favorable financial conditions take hold and headwinds from tariffs and inflation's ease, according to Goldman Sachs. Okay, so my taxes, I don't know about you guys, but my taxes, once Biden took office and the 2017 tax cuts that Trump had put into place were taken off the board, my taxes increased dramatically. So what has just happened to hopefully all of our benefit is, we talked about taxes yesterday, and I was talking about a lot of negative stuff related to taxes. But of course, we talked about property taxes being repealed, and states like Georgia's toying with getting rid of either the state income tax or state sales tax. I'd like to see both gone, obviously. Property taxes got to go for all the reasons we discussed yesterday. Yesterday was a great episode. You ought to go watch that one if you didn't see it already. But the one big beautiful bill that passed last year, we were cautiously optimistic on the outcome of the one big beautiful bill. It is not the win. It's not nearly the win that Trump wants everyone to believe it is. But there was a lot of compromise. There was a lot of garbage. But and this may be the best and most important thing that the bill did, is it made the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent. Okay? It made the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent. So this upcoming tax return season is on track, it appears, to be the largest payout by the federal government to the income taxpayer in federal tax returns ever. So we're starting the year basically in the first quarter with the majority of Americans having a little more pad in their pocket, having just at least a little more income to work with, a little more, well, a little more of a nest egg to work with. And that means that everybody just got a pay raise. Not a big one, not a real big one, but even 2 or 3% can make a big difference for people, right? You know, you think you might think, oh, well, you know, okay, maybe I make an extra $200 or $300 a month. That's not much. Well, that's at least one of your utility bills, probably. That's not nothing. That's certainly not nothing. So a lot of positive development there. Additionally, it looks like the excuse me. Still not 100%, guys, but I'm so much closer today. And I don't have these in the order I wanted them to be. That's the Washington Monument thing. Okay, maybe it's here. Maybe it's in this article still. Goldman Sachs Economics, led by Jan Hatzius, wrote in their 2026 outlook that this year's economic growth was tempered by the impact of larger than expected tariffs, which pushed the average effective tariff rate on goods imported to the U.S. several percentage points higher than anticipated. Yeah, but here's the thing. You don't have to pay tariffs. You, the American consumer, do not have to pay tariffs. Oh, tariffs are just a tax on the purchaser, because the foreigners don't pay the tariffs. Only the end product buyer pays the tariffs. Oh my God. So the Democrats tried to explain to the American people that if there are tariffs, then all of your products are going to be increased in price. That is false, especially when the Democrat plan was to increase all corporate taxes. I know I've done deep dive explainers on this in the past, but here's where the important distinction. When tariffs are the problem, when tariffs are the thing causing the price to increase, they're causing the price to increase on imported goods. So, yes, the tariff is paid at the point of import, and the price of the item to the consumer goes up. And it is, in fact, the consumer that ends up paying that difference. Fair play. Right? Anywhere along the line, and this relates to the corporate tax question as well, and this is important. Anywhere along the line that the price is increased, it is not the producer, it is not the manufacturer, it is not the salesman, it is not the inventory guy, it is not the business. They do not pay the increased cost. They calculate the increased cost into the price to the end consumer, so it is always the end consumer that pays the increased cost. So with tariffs, as the end consumer, you can choose to not buy imported goods and therefore not pay the increased cost. You can choose to, rather than buy imported Chinese beef at Walmart, to go to a local farm and buy your beef and not pay a tariff. You can always choose to go and purchase your material somewhere that is domestic and does not incur the tariff. With the Democrat counter proposal that was made through the Kamala Harris campaign, the counter proposal from the Democrats was, we're not going to raise tariffs. That's crazy. The consumer ends up paying that. We're just going to put a big tax on corporations. We're going to increase corporate tax because these evil corporations, they make too much money and they ought to pay their fair share. The corporation can't pay taxes either, you back-birthed retard. Guess who pays the tax when you increase the tax on the corporations? If you increase all corporate tax in the United States, you increase the price to the end consumer. Okay? And yes, Sergeant Major says the importer sometimes eats the tariff in order to remain competitive. Yes, the use of a loss leader is a common commerce tactic. But for the purposes of this argument, stay with me now. Assuming you don't have an importer that's taking a loss leader type maneuver to defray that cost and hopefully retain their customer base while losing some of their profit margin. The difference between a tariff and a corporate tax, the end consumer always pays that increase. But if it's a corporate tax versus a tariff, then the corporate tax applies an increase to every single product, whereas the tariff only applies an increase to products where you have a choice not to purchase them. So the Republican plan, tariffs, you can choose not to pay the increase. In fact, that's the point, right? The point is not to make more money off the imported goods. That's a happy accident, a happy side effect. But the real point is the strategic maneuver of increasing domestic spending on domestic products to improve domestic labor and domestic economics. A corporate tax does the opposite of that. Even beyond the problem of removing from you that choice, with the corporate tax, you've now, through government fiat, incentivized the offshoring of corporate interests so that because they can take it overseas, dodge some of the taxes in production locations and in distribution logistics. And even if they still have to deal with tariffs, which under a Democrat they wouldn't, they can defray those costs as well. But you don't get to choose whether or not you pay the increased price. That's the difference. Okay, I want to stay positive today. I want to stay positive today because it's New Year and it is a good outlook. Like I said, I wouldn't tell you to look to be expecting mortgage rates in the low twos again anytime terribly soon. But I have already been contacted by solicitors offering me a refi to get down to 4.6. And frankly, I'm holding out to get, I'd like to get a little bit lower in the fours. But I promise you this, if my phone were to ring right now and somebody said, hey, 3.2, then I'd say, hey, love you, see you tomorrow. And I'd sign that paperwork as soon as possible. And I mean, I'm already sitting pretty comfortable in the low fives, but and that's on a house that I bought 2 years. It will be 2 years this May. I love this place, guys. So that all of that is to the positive. Now, the other thing, last night was New Year's Eve, obviously. New Year's Eve, Washington Monument. Up. New Year's Eve, Washington Monument illumination kicks off Trump's year-long America 250 celebration. Right, the quasi. What is it? The quasi decadal. No, what was the word? I saw a great frickin' word. Semi-quincentennial. Yes. Ooh. I'm going to be using that word as often as possible. The semi-quincentennial, the half 500-year anniversary, the semi-quincentennial. It's just a fun. Say it with me now. Say semi-quincentennial. So the semi-quincentennial celebration. Sergeant Major says, be wary of low interest refinancing and points. Yes. You and I had this conversation when I did refinance. So I bought this house in the mid 7s, and then about 9 months after I bought it, I refinanced it. But I mean, we had to look over I paid real close attention to the cost of the loan, the points, and everything. And had a long conversation with my father, who has bought and sold more houses than I've lived in, I think. But there are a lot of little specifics there that you got to pay attention to. But I mean, I was able to refinance my new property less than a year after I purchased it, and got just over 2 full percentage points off of the interest rate. That was worth the move. So yeah, I mean, if you want to, you could get away with refinancing 2 or 3 times a year. That's almost never the right answer. So President Trump's initiative to commemorate the semi-quincentennial year of the founding of the U.S. kicked off, with the projection of images. God, excuse me. On the Washington Monument during New Year's Eve celebrations in December, in D.C. Wednesday night. Big picture, the 6-day art installation is one of many projects Trump has planned for the year-long America 250 celebrations. Semi-quincentennial. Tonight, the illumination of America on the Washington Monument kicks off the celebration of America's 250th birthday year, said an official White House account sharing images from the display on X. Let's see if they've got those. Let's see if that links to the actual images. Yeah. So this is pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? The illumination of America. I think that's awesome. And I mean, let's be real. Given the alternatives, given the options, having Donald Trump, a president who, unlike any Democrat who has even run for office in the current century, loves America. Right? Since the year 2000, who have we had as Democrats running for the office? Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, the ketchup guy, Kerry, right? Every Democrat that has run for president, even in the primaries, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, etc. Every Democrat that has run for president in the current century, since the year 2000, hates America, has a chip on their shoulder about colonization and slavery only ever happened here and it was the evilest thing that was ever done. Every white man is Hitler, right? That's every Democrat that has run for office in the last 25 years. And even many of the Republicans that have run for the office have been squishy, soft on crime, soft on border, people like John McCain, like Mitt Romney, right? Squishy, pseudo-leftoid Republicans in name only. I can hardly think of a better president, of a better man who has put himself forward to be elected to the office of president in the last 25 years than Donald Trump for the job of celebrating the glory and wonder and greatness and liberty and prosperity of this great nation. And this is the year for it. This is the year for it, the semi-quincentennial. And again, linguist, that's a fun word. It just feels good on your teeth, right? Semi-quincentennial. Try it. I dare you. It's a great word. So I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in it there. Got to round up some youngins and figure out, hey, Sergeant Major, what time do you want us for lunch? Because we've got to pack away some pork and some green beans and some black-eyed peas. Y'all, I look forward to the green beans and black-eyed peas. Honestly, I could eat green beans and black-eyed peas every day of the year. And we don't do it enough because they're damn good. And in fact, we're growing collard greens this year. Damn it. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in it. Thanks for watching this morning, guys. It's a new year. So I started to say earlier, and I didn't really finish the thought. Because I got down the economic stuff. It being midterms, there's a couple things that I'm looking at this year. One, it's not as big as the general election year, certainly, but there will be a lot more stuff happening in politics, which means more targeted content for the channel, more explicitly correlated content for the channel. We enjoyed some pretty steady growth last year, despite the off season. So we should enjoy more aggressive growth this year with the channel. And you guys have been instrumental in that. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe, and help us grow. As we move forward toward the midterms, I have a plan that I'm working on. It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of traveling, but I'm going to be trying to go around the state of Georgia and visit with GOP groups as the guest speaker wherever I can, and explain some things to these people, because what we have, like I've told you guys before, anytime you go to a small local GOP group, it tends to be a lot of old people, and they are not savvy on the media environment, on the use of social media and social platforms for the purpose of exploring and expanding the message. And frankly, their parents raised them badly, just like many of your parents did, in one key respect. They were told, if they're conservatives, they were raised to believe that it is taboo to discuss politics in public. Well, the modern crop of Democrats for the last 40 years have been told in their college classes that that politics should be essentially the only thing they discuss. In fact, the way that they're trained in those colleges is that they understand everything to be politics, and every conversation has to have an air of politics to it. And that's something that we have to get over. Right? I guarantee that any time over the last 10 or 12 years, if you were to have said in public that you voted for Donald Trump, just casually to a friend, you know, if there was a blue-haired septum ring feminist within earshot, she'd say something. She'd bawl you out. Oh, you're one of those racist, misogynist, bigot, homo. Shut up, bitch. You don't have to put up with that nonsense. And if you hear somebody running their mouth about what a great president Kamala Harris would have been, call them a retard. Tell them they're a fucking idiot. Ask them how they like their Obamacare. Because everything that is wrong, everything that is difficult, is their fault. They chose it. They chose it because they prefer it. Because the base layer of the socialist, of the communist, of the Democrat mentality is that it is impossible for everyone to be happy. And so it is only equitable that everyone be not happy. Everyone must suffer because we cannot revel equally. We must all suffer equally. If we can't all be rich, then everybody needs to starve. That's their baseline. Call them out on it. Stop putting up with it. Stop letting it go unchallenged. Call them out. Okay. I love you. Y'all be safe out there. Thanks for watching. I love you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year's. Oh, I should have had the outro stinger ready to go. Ha there it is. Collard greens! Ha ha!